This lesson is going to be on word problems. The first thing we're going to look at is just taking the words and creating a math statement out of it. So we're not solving for anything here. In this first example, we are just looking at the words and creating the math statement that comes from it. So the first one we have here is x is the same as y. So this just means in math, the words the same as means equal to. So we say x equals y. The next one says 5 times a certain number is equal to 30. Now here, unlike in the first one, I don't know the variable, so I have to assign one, okay? And so that's always going to be in a let statement. So we're going to say let, and I like to use variables that kind of go along with what we're calling it. So we're talking about a number. So I'm going to say let n equal the number, and that's important. You have to have your let statement where you tell me what the variable is. And this says 5 times a certain number, so 5n, because our number is n, equals, and it says it's equal to 30, so equals 30. And that's how we would write that one out. Now, just remember, you have to define your variable, okay? And you don't have to use n. You can use anything else. It doesn't matter. All right, the next one. The sum of two consecutive natural numbers is equal to 13. Now, remember, natural numbers are your numbers from 0 and up. And when we're talking about consecutive, so if I tell you that the first number, I'm going to use n again because n for number. So we're going to say n is one number. We can't say it's the number because we're going to have more than one. So if n is one number, then in order to get the next one, consecutive numbers, and I'm putting this in brackets just so that I could see it as a separate item, a separate entity. So n is one number, consecutive, meaning the number after it, would be n plus 1. And they said that this is equal to 13. Next, it says the sum of 3 consecutive numbers is equal to 15. So here again, we're going to say let n be the number and now we have 3 of them. We won't say be the number. We'll say let n be one number. Because technically the other ones are not going to be n. Okay. So that would mean we start with n, and then I'm adding because we're saying that it's the sum. So sum means to add. The next one has to be n plus 1, and then the one after that would be n plus 2. Oops. N plus 2. And then that all is equal to 15. Okay, so remember in this example, we were not solving for anything. We were just writing statements out, and that's important. Make sure that you read the questions so you're not taking time doing stuff that doesn't have to be done, okay? So the next one is where we're going to solve. So this says Isa is 5 years older than Zaid, and the sum of their ages is 33. So we need to first, and the question's asking how old is Isa. So because it said how old is Isa, then let's work with everything in terms of Isa. And Isa's name starts with I, and math convention is to always use lowercase letters for our variables. So we're going to keep to that convention. Let I equal Isa's age. So if that's Isa's age, therefore, I could get Zaid's age, couldn't I? In terms of Isa's age, because then Zaid's age, and it says that he's 5 years older than Zaid. So to get Zaid's age from Isa's age, I would have to subtract 5. Okay, so Zaid's age is I minus 5. And they have said that the sum of their ages, so when I add them up, so if I take Isa and then I add Zaid, I'm going to get 33. And now if I am to simplify this, because this time the question is asking to solve, right? It's saying how old is Isa? So here we're going to go 2I minus 5 is equal to 33. And then remember now, because we're subtracting a 5, we need to add the 5. So that gives me 38. And we are multiplying by 2, so we must divide by 2. So I equals 19. So we have, therefore, Isa is 19 years old. So some important things to remember. When I don't give you a variable, you have to assign the variable. And that's generally, you'll always have what we call a let statement and then a therefore statement at the end, and the math happens in between. Another thing to remember is you cannot solve for two unknowns in one equation. So that's why we didn't write I plus Z. We didn't do that because saying I plus Z equals 33, that means nothing to us because I can't solve for anything there because I and Z are not like terms. That's why we immediately wrote Zaid's age in terms of Isa's age. And the reason why we did that is because I need to solve. We chose Isa to be our variable because the question only asked for Isa's age. If the question just said, how old are the boys? Then you could have used either one. And then you just find one and then use that to solve for the other. Like in this case, because Isa is 5 years older than Zaid, if Isa is 19, then Zaid is going to be 14. So that's what we would do if they asked us, how old are the boys? Or how old are each of the boys? That it doesn't matter which variable. But it's just kind of forward thinking where they're asking for Isa's age. So we are going to write everything in terms of Isa's age. Don't forget, you need to have your notes. You need to submit them. And then in class, we will do a recap and then work on some practice.